On February 27th, CBS chief Leslie Moonves told investors that Star Trek Discovery, which has been pushed back several times over, would premiere in the late summer or early fall of 2017. Commenting on the numerous delays, Moonves said that, "It's important to get it right, and Star Trek is the family jewels. We're not going to rush it in. There's a lot of post-production, but I'm very confident in what I've seen so far." However, not everyone shares Moonves' confidence.
I have no hope for this show. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I think if CBS really believed in it, they would put it on the network, as opposed to their streaming service. But number two, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes drama. The guy who got this thing up and running, he left, and it wasn't pretty. I've heard nothing but conflict. Now look, I'm not at CBS Studios. I'm not on set. I can't speak directly to it. I'm just telling you what I've heard. So take it for maybe what I've heard is wrong. I'm just telling you what I heard. I've heard nothing but nightmares coming out of that thing.
Campion may be the more prolific, but he is far from the only pundit who has remarked that everything might not be awesome with Star Trek Discovery. What is it that they've heard? In this video, we will go through first the known official information about the series that has been released, and then give you the lowdown on the rumors of production trouble that surround it. In our earlier Star Trek Discovery video, published on September 30th of 2016, we went through everything that was known about the upcoming CBS All Access exclusive series at the time. Since then, however, there have been further developments, and not all of them the good kind. To recap, we learned from original showrunner Bryan Fuller that Star Trek Discovery was set in the Prime timeline, not the rebooted Kelvin timeline of the recent Bad Robot movies. It would be set about 10 years prior to the original series, bridge the gap between Enterprise and the original series, and it would deal with an incident in Star Trek canon that had been mentioned, but not previously explored. The captain of the ship would be a white male, but the point of view character would be number one, a non-white female. There would be about 7 characters in the main ensemble, and the series would feature lots of new reimagined aliens, robots, and at least one gay character. The design of the ship was first shown at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con, but fans were taken aback by how visually unpleasing the design was. Fuller assured that the design was a work in progress. The pilot episode of the series was originally scheduled to air on CBS in January, while the remainder of the 13-episode first season will be a CBS All Access exclusive in the US, while the entire series will be a Netflix exclusive in the rest of the world. We do not know the amount Netflix paid for the worldwide distribution rights, but we do know that it was so much that Netflix have effectively paid for the entire production of the series. As the fall of 2016 progressed, however, without a cast being in place, the series premiere was pushed back to May of 2017. Showrunner Bryan Fuller has always been a card-carrying Trekkie. Before achieving mainstream success as showrunner on Pushing Daisies and Hannibal, Fuller started out as a writer on Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager. He has been vocal about his desire to be the showrunner on a new Star Trek series since 2009. In 2014, he stated that he would, quote, drop everything for the opportunity, and 2 years later, he would get the chance. As such, it came as something of a shock when The Hollywood Reporter on October 26 of 2016 broke the scoop that Bryan Fuller had stepped down as showrunner on Star Trek Discovery. A statement from CBS Television Studios read, "We are extremely happy with the creative direction of Star Trek Discovery and the strong foundation that Bryan Fuller has helped us create for the series. Due to Bryan's other projects, he is no longer able to oversee the day-to-day of Star Trek, but he remains as an executive producer and will continue to map out the story arc for the entire season." Alex Kurtzman, co-creator and executive producer, along with Fuller's producing partners and longtime collaborators Gretchen, Berg, and Aaron Harberts, will also continue to oversee the show with the existing writing and producing team. Bryan is a brilliant creative talent and a passionate Star Trek fan who has helped us chart an exciting course for the series. We are all committed to seeing this vision through and look forward to premiering Star Trek Discovery this coming May 2017. On Twitter, Bryan Fuller endorsed Gretchen, Berg, and Aaron Harberts as the new showrunners. Despite initial reports that he would stay on as a consultant, Fuller told Newsweek in a December 2nd interview that he had no further involvement with the series. He stated that, "I'm not involved with the production or post-production, so I can only give them the material I've given them and hope that it is helpful for them. I'm curious to see what they do with it." About a potential second season, he said, "They have my number, and if they need me, I will absolutely be there for them." The first cast announcements came in November of 2016 and have trickled in ever since. The most notable cast members include Sonequa Martin Green, who will star as number 1, Doug Jones as Saru, a member of a new race created for the series, James Frain as Sarek, the father of Spock, and Michelle Yeoh in a recurring role as Gerju, captain of the Shenzhou. Filming began on January 24th of 2017 in Pinewood, Toronto studios, and is set to continue until September. Also in January, the premiere date was pushed back indefinitely. On February 27th, Les Moonves told investors that the premiere date would be late summer or early fall, but without committing to a date. Please note that most of what will be relayed from here on out is not official information released by the production company, but word that has seeped out from insiders involved with the production. As the information in no way, shape, or form is officially confirmed, it should be treated as rumors and be taken with a grain of salt. But when you hear pundits and insiders making vague references to StarTrek Discovery being a mess, this is what they're referring to. Rumor has it that StarTrek Discovery was off to a bad start from its very inception. CBS head honcho Leslie Moonves is allegedly not a fan of science fiction. Some say he is barely able to tell Star Trek from Star Wars. What he could tell, however, was that the digital platform All Access wasn't making CBS any money to speak of. Acting on audience research a half-decade out of date, which assumed a primetime series, not streaming, Star Trek Discovery was conceived and greenlit. Regardless of how the series came to be, Bryan Fuller, the original showrunner, came aboard. He was intent on making a series that wouldn't quite be like the past 50 years of Star Trek, but still very much Star Trek in nature, and something that longtime fans could get behind. By all accounts, Fuller delivered on this, as the scripts developed on his watch are said to have been fine. However, rumor has it that Leslie Moonves pulled a Tom Rothman and started micromanaging. He allegedly wanted Star Trek Discovery to be more sexed up and look more advanced than any Star Trek series had ever done before. This resulted in the designs of the ships, uniforms, aliens, and pretty much everything else looking effectively like a reboot of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot, and not something that could ever line up with the period in the prime timeline the series is supposed to take place in. Fuller is then said to have warned Moonves that if the look of the show did not match canon and the series appeared as another reboot, the built-in fanbase would hate it. Moonves and Fuller would clash over this, which resulted in Bryan Fuller being fired. The new showrunners would develop the series the way they and Moonves wanted, and were free to pick and choose what they wanted to keep, rewrite, or discard of what Fuller had written and developed prior to being ousted. The new showrunners are, however, not Star Trek fans per se, and none of the old guard of writers and producers that have shepherded Star Trek since the Next Generation era remain to ensure that the series will fit with canon. Bryan Fuller is claimed to have said that all hell will break loose when fans see the designs, and to have opined that Discovery would be cancelled before the season had finished airing. One script change that has been rumored to happen since Fuller's departure is that the prime timeline for all intents and purposes will be replaced by trans-dimensional universes, but will still be called Prime. This rumor claims that the story of the pilot involves Spock's father, Sarek, and the explanation of how two other roles played by original Sarek actor Mark Leonard, a Romulan commander and a Klingon commander, were trans-dimensional incarnations of Sarek himself. These and other changes made to the scripts are said to have made them unfilmable. An equally big or even bigger bone of contention is the visual look of the series. The licensees, the various companies that sell model kits, toys, t-shirts, and other apparel, all of which there's a lot of money in, are not too fond of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek reboot, as their audience has demonstrated an overwhelming preference for the merchandise based on the prime incarnation of Star Trek, not the rebooted Kelvin timeline. As the visuals of Discovery are said to be even further away from the original series, even more so than the Kelvin visuals, a large number of licensees have made it clear that fans will hate the new look, so much so that they won't even be able to give merchandise based on it away, and that many of the licensees therefore are not on board with Star Trek Discovery. Blowback from the licensees is said to have contributed to the series being delayed several times. On February 13th, word got out that the entire visual effects department on the project had allegedly been fired. The overarching rumor is that between the scripts and the widely disliked visuals, things are not coming together at all. Several actors want out, the writers and producers are unhappy, and Netflix are said to be furious and may even demand their money back. There are some who even worry that the entire series might implode and may never be completed, let alone released. That sums up the rumors making the rounds at the time of making this video. Do you think there's any truth to them, or will Star Trek Discovery come out later in 2017 and prove all the naysayers wrong? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. Join us for spin-free news and analysis of the happenings and corporate politics behind the scenes of your favorite genre movies, as well as explorations of your favorite characters and their backgrounds and context here at Midnight's Edge.